So next up, he's adding in a phone. So as you can see there, as of right now, there are no phones connected, but
search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
Just looking for, most likely come out, yeah, Ford Explorer. You can change that vehicle name, and I'll show you how to do that in just a minute.
Confirm that the pin displayed on sync matches the pin displayed on your device.
Pins match up. Do I want to allow contacts and favorites to sync up? I'm going to say no.
Please stay alert to changing road conditions and use Sync's voice-activated features while your vehicle is in motion.
Perfect. Do I want to download my contacts? I'll say no to that one. It's not my car, but if it was yours, you could select that one. And then 911 Assist. Definitely recommend turning that one on, because if you're ever in a serious collision and your phone's connected, it's automatically going to dial 911 for you. Just hit finish, and in just a second there, we are fully connected. So you can see what's currently going on. You've got recent calls, phone keypad list. You can dial in there as well. You've got Siri Assistant and on top of that. So you can do a press and hold on the steering wheel if you wanted to activate your Siri Assistant that way, which is kind of cool. But one thing about the vehicle, so about the Sync 3 screen, is that it's got support for Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. Inside of the Sync 3 screen, it is a wired connection. So you need a USB cable. In order for it to work, you need it to be a data connection cable too. So you can make out, maybe just make it out the little data icon there. So it needs to be one of these data USB icons in order for it to actually transfer data. So if you're trying to connect to Android Auto, Apple CarPlay and it's not working, that's usually like the first thing I would recommend, is just making sure you're using the right type of cable. Now, just down the center stack there, I'm going to plug ourselves in, opposite end of the cable, in we go. And in just a second, perfect, there we go. Apple CarPlay, let's continue. It should be a few seconds there. Do I want to allow CarPlay while the phone is locked? Yes, let's allow that. And boom, fully connected. Beautiful, it's nice. Along the outside, you've got current time and connection level, what map application was open last, what audio application was last opened, and then miscellaneous application. This brings you back to this little home screen, or you can go to little icon view instead. But you can also kind of swipe between these different screens if you wanted to. Both Google Maps, well, I guess all Google Maps, Apple Maps, and Waze. On the Apple CarPlay side of things, there's no pinch to zoom capability. So you have to zoom in and out this way. You can look at destinations, search for addresses, etc. It's the same way with Google Maps. So you hop in and you could zoom in and out this way. You can avoid things on the route. So if you wanted to avoid highways, toll roads, ferries, and things like that, you'd have that flexibility. And then Waze, same idea. So there's dragging capabilities, but, oh, there we go. Dragging capabilities, but if you wanted to be able to zoom in and out, we're going in and out that way instead. Button press back home. And then you've got, obviously all of your podcasts, so browsing history, listening history. There's a ton of different applications that are supported through Apple CarPlay. Not a ton, but just the basics. And like I said, there's no video playback features on here whatsoever. So even certain apps that you'd think that video would be available, the screen itself doesn't support video playback, unfortunately. Now, one thing you can do with the phone, though, is that if you go into your phone settings, go into General Settings, CarPlay, and then find your vehicle, you can either have it forget the car, you can allow CarPlay while the phone is locked, or you can customize. So let's say if you're a fan of having your podcasts up there along with your audiobooks, you can do that. If you want to remove them, you could. It gets rid of them from the screen completely, and then it does keep them in here though. So if you wanted to add them back in, you could. But if you've played around with this too much and you don't like all the drag and drops that you've done, just do a reset in order to bring this back to the factory default screen there instead. It's very straightforward. And then if you wanted to hop back into the Sync home screen, you're just going to hit this little button there, and that brings you back to this screen. You can jump back into CarPlay now by pushing the button there, hop back home, or you can go into CarPlay preferences. So you can remove the phone, you can toggle off CarPlay. So if you wanted to be physically connected in order to charge up, but you don't want to use CarPlay, you can just toggle it off there, and it's just defaulted you back to your factory settings there instead. So as you can see, connected back through Bluetooth again. So if you go into settings, phone, you can view devices. If you've got multiple phones connected to the vehicle, you can look at all of your contact options and things like that. But view devices, you can see there, currently connected to the phone. You can disconnect it or completely remove it. So it's that straightforward, setting up an iPhone inside of the Explorer. Setting up an Android is the exact same process. So if you weren't on this main screen, what you could do is you just jump back into settings, phone, view devices, and then you could
search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
So just adding in there. And then, same idea, we're looking for Ford Explorer.
Confirm that the pin displayed on sync matches the pin displayed on your device.
Pins match up and connected. Do I want to allow access to messages?
For your
No.
safety, please stay alert to changing road conditions and use Sync's voice-activated features while your vehicle is in motion.
Perfect. Contact download, I'm going to say no because it's not my car, but obviously if it was yours, you would say yes there. And then do you want to set it as a favorite? So if you've got multiple phones connected, you can have it set as a favorite for who gets connection priority. Hopping into the phone though, you can see that we are connected to the other phone, so the Samsung instead. But it's straightforward. You're fully connected. You've got your keypad, voice assistant, and things like that. So you can push and hold on the steering wheel if you wanted to activate your different assistant that way instead. Now, that one, if you're just connected over Bluetooth, is Bixby. So it's unfortunately not going to be the Google Assistant. So if you wanted to use the Google Assistant, you actually have to hook up through Android Auto. So on that note, let's hook up through Android Auto using that data-friendly USB cable. Opposite end of the cable and in. Perfect. There we go. Android Auto. So let's continue and next. Agree. Should be a few seconds there. Boom. And we are fully connected. Perfect. So you can see there's a little split screen, but if you hit the map, that's going to push you into this full screen instead. And one nice thing, Android Auto, pinch to zoom capabilities on Google Maps, which is great. Pushing this little icon along the bottom gets you to this split screen again, or a little icon view. Back into that little split screen. So you've got map applications, phone, you can customize a little bit. And then you've also got the Google Assistant, the true Google Assistant there. So you have to be fully connected through Android Auto in order to use the Google Assistant, but you still do have that flexibility though, which is kind of nice. But back home, you do have Waze and then Google Maps that are available. Now, if for whatever reason Waze isn't showing up for you, check down in the description of this video. I've put together a little walkthrough explaining how to get Waze on Android Auto, but it's relatively straightforward to do. But there are so many things you can do. Maps, there are a series of different apps that you can use inside of this thing too, but if you want a full look at the apps that are available, you'll find that in the description. But I mean, you can see there, avoid toll roads, ferries, fuel efficient routes, whatever the case may be. Super straightforward, which is nice. You can go back home to this mini view, and then if you wanted to, you can hop back into that forward home screen instead. And then hopping back into Android Auto, you can go Android Auto preferences to toggle off Android Auto, remove the Galaxy, etc. Or hop back into the Android Auto system instead, listening to podcasts and music, whatever the case may be. You do have the option of using some Android Auto settings to customize this a little bit. So you're going to search for Android Auto on your phone, go to Android Auto settings, and when you do that, you've got a series of different options that are available. So the big one to look for here is Customize Launcher. So you're just going to go Customize Launcher. You've got all of the different applications here, so you can just do a drag and drop in order to be able to customize it, but it's not dynamic like it was on the Apple side. So you actually have to get out of Android Auto on the screen here and shut it down here, relaunch for any of those changes to take into effect. But you still do have the flexibility of customizing this a tiny little bit. Now let's actually go back home. As of right now, so fully connected, so I'm going to go into my Android Auto preferences, toggle off Android Auto for a second. I'll show you why. So if I go into settings now, hopping into phone, you can view devices, manage contacts, and things like that. So if you wanted to, connect it there, but you could disconnect, make it a favorite, or fully remove it from the vehicle. And then, same idea, you can connect or fully remove if you wanted to. So it should be a few seconds there, and we're fully removed. So it's that easy setting up Android and iPhone devices inside of the Explorer.